Attention passionate Cleveland, Browns fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Cleveland Browns fans. Let's get to the news. The Cleveland Browns, a franchise with such a rich history, passionate fanbase, and high expectations, are once again at a crossroads. And let me tell you, this offseason has been one of the most pivotal in recent memory, not just for the team, but for the entire AFC North. You see, in the NFL, change happens fast, and sometimes a single offseason can redefine a franchise's future for years to come. And right now, the Browns are under a microscope, with many eyes focused on their front office, especially General Manager Andrew Berry, whose decisions over the past few seasons have been scrutinized heavily. Since Berry's arrival in 2020, Cleveland fans saw some promising signs: a few playoff appearances, a bright spot with Kevin Stefanski leading the team, and a core that seemed to be trending upward. But as many of you know, the NFL isn't just about building a good team. It's about making the right moves at the right time. And unfortunately, the Browns' recent history under Berry has been riddled with controversy, questionable draft choices, aggressive trades, and some high-profile misses that have left many wondering if this regime can truly deliver a Super Bowl contender. Let's take a step back and look at how we got here. When Berry was hired in 2020, expectations were high. Cleveland had been starving for success for decades, and many fans believed that Berry's track record as a talent evaluator and his aggressive approach in free agency and the draft could finally turn the tide. Early on, there were signs of promise, drafting key players like Jedrick Wills and Grant Delpit, and signing impactful free agents. But as the years went on, cracks began to show. Draft misses, like passing on certain high-upside prospects or reaching for players who didn't quite pan out, started accumulating. And then came the big, controversial move in 2022, trading multiple first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. That deal, worth a fully guaranteed $230 million, was one of the most talked-about transactions in NFL history. It was a gamble, a bold statement of intent that the Browns were all in on winning now. But it also came with enormous baggage: off-field issues that cast a shadow over Watson's on-field performance, and a risk that many fans and analysts questioned. The trade cost Cleveland dearly, not just in draft capital, but in terms of team chemistry and future flexibility. Now, let's be honest, Watson's arrival was supposed to be the final piece to the puzzle, a franchise quarterback capable of leading the Browns deep into the playoffs and possibly to a Super Bowl. But the results haven't lived up to expectations. Injuries, inconsistent performances, and the off-field controversy surrounding Watson have kept the team from reaching its full potential. Meanwhile, the roster around Watson has seen ups and downs. There's talent in Cleveland, no doubt, but questions about whether the team has enough depth, especially on offense, remain. And this is where the pressure on Andrew Berry ratchets up. You see, in the NFL, if you're the GM who makes bold moves and they don't pay off, the consequences can be swift and severe. Just ask fans of other teams who have seen GMs get fired after a few seasons of underperformance. Crawford from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show has been very vocal about Berry's precarious position. He pointed out that, despite claims of job security, the reality is different. Crawford has meticulously analyzed Berry's draft record, free agency signings, and trades, and he's not holding back. He's made it clear that the trade for Watson, while ambitious, might be the worst transaction in NFL history if it doesn't lead to a Super Bowl. What makes this situation even more intense is the fact that Cleveland fans are known for their loyalty and patience, but also for their high expectations. They've waited decades for a true contender, and now, with a roster that's supposed to be championship caliber, the pressure on Berry is immense. If the upcoming season doesn't bring tangible results, deep playoff runs, a division title, meaningful wins, the calls for change will grow louder. Crawford's co-host, Garrett Bush, even speculated that Berry's future might not be directly tied to Stefanski, who has a couple of NFL Coach of the Year awards under his belt. But if the team falters and the roster underperforms, it's hard to imagine Barry escaping unscathed. And Cleveland's ownership has made it clear that this offseason is crucial. Jimmy Haslam, the owner, emphasized that this is a make-or-break period for Barry. During the draft, Haslam publicly acknowledged how important this year's draft is for the franchise. He told reporters that Barry understands how important it is and that he's got to nail it. That's a direct message from the top, that the decisions made this year could define Barry's future and perhaps even his career. Cleveland isn't a team that tolerates prolonged mediocrity. They want to see results, and they want to see them now. So, what did Barry do to try and change the narrative? Well, he once again showed his aggressive approach in the draft, moving down from the number 2 overall pick to number 5, trading that top 5 selection to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and acquiring an additional first-round pick in 2026. This move was viewed as a strategic one, giving Cleveland more ammunition to bolster their roster in future seasons. With the 5th pick, Cleveland selected Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham, a promising young talent who could help solidify the defensive front, a unit that's been a strength at times, but needs to become more consistent to compete with the best. But it's not just about the defense. Barry also addressed the offense by drafting 2 running backs, Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, adding some explosiveness and depth to the backfield. And then there's the quarterback room, which is arguably the most intriguing storyline heading into training camp. Cleveland entered this offseason with a roster featuring 5 quarterbacks, including the injured Deshaun Watson, veteran Joe Flacco, and rookie draft picks Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. That's right, 5 quarterbacks competing for the starting role. And with Watson's injury status still uncertain, this competition is shaping up to be one of the most open and intense battles in the league. Imagine the scene: training camp, a roster full of veteran presence and young talent, all fighting for the chance to lead this team into the playoffs. The Browns are essentially entering the season with a quarterback carousel, a situation that's never ideal but can become a competitive advantage if managed correctly. The veteran Flacco, with his experience and leadership, is in the mix, but the rookies, Gabriel and Sanders, are also making waves. Shedeur Sanders, in particular, has generated buzz around the league, thanks to his arm talent and college production. The question is, who will emerge as the starter? Can Watson recover fully and return to form, or will one of the rookies seize the moment and become Cleveland's new franchise quarterback? This quarterback competition will be one of the most watched storylines of the season, especially given the recent history of instability at the position in Cleveland. Fans remember the tumult of the past, injuries, inconsistent play, and the pressure of living up to a franchise QB's hype. That's why every snap, every practice, and every game in training camp will be scrutinized intensely. The Browns' coaching staff will have to navigate this delicate situation carefully, balancing veteran leadership with the development of young talent. Looking at the bigger picture, Cleveland's recent draft, combined with their free agency moves and roster construction, signals a team that's trying to find that perfect balance: aggressive yet measured, experienced yet youthful. The team's window is now, or so the team's management and fans hope. The AFC North is no longer just about the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals. It's now a fiercely competitive division with the Jaguars, Bills, and Dolphins making waves as well. Cleveland needs to be at its best, and that's why this season is so critical. But let's not forget the history of this franchise. Cleveland has always been a team of resilience, of fighting against the odds, of never giving up. The fans are some of the most passionate in the entire league, and their expectations are sky high. They want a Super Bowl, they want to see their team compete at the highest level, and they want to believe that this front office, this coaching staff, and these players can deliver. And with this new draft class, this new quarterback competition, and the high stakes of the season, the Browns are walking a tightrope. Every decision, every play, every game will be scrutinized, analyzed, and debated. But if they manage to get this right, if the pieces fall into place and the team performs at its potential, Cleveland could once again find its way to the promised land. But make no mistake, the pressure is mounting and the clock is ticking. The coming months will be decisive for Andrew Barry's tenure, for Kevin Stefanski's coaching career, and most importantly, for the hopes of every Browns fan. Now, let's talk a little about the current state of the roster. Cleveland's talent pool is deep, but it's also young and unproven in many key areas. The offensive line, which has been a point of concern in recent years, is showing signs of improvement with some promising draft picks and free agent additions. The running game, always a staple of the Browns' identity, remains strong with Nick Chubb, one of the best backs in the league, although his injury status will be a factor to monitor. The wide receivers, led by Amari Cooper, have the potential to be a dynamic unit, but consistency remains an issue. Defensively, Cleveland's front seven is one of the most formidable in the league, anchored by Myles Garrett, a perennial All-Pro and one of the most dominant pass rushers in the NFL. The secondary has been a work in progress, but recent draft picks and signings suggest that the team is committed to improving their pass defense. The coaching staff will need to get the most out of this talent in a division that's increasingly passing-heavy and explosive. Looking ahead, the schedule is challenging, but manageable if Cleveland can maximize their strengths. The division rivals will be tough. Games against Baltimore and Cincinnati are always battles, and a new-look Pittsburgh Steelers team will aim to regain their edge. But the Browns have the talent and the motivation to make a statement this season. It all hinges on that elusive quarterback battle, the health of key players, and the sharpness of the coaching staff. So, what's next? Well, training camp is just around the corner, and all eyes will be on that quarterback room. Fans will be watching every snap, every throw, and every decision made by the coaching staff. The media will dissect every comment, every injury report, and every practice clip. The pressure on Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski will only intensify if the results don't meet expectations early on. The draft, the offseason moves, and the roster construction, they all lead to this moment. Cleveland's future hangs in the balance, and it's an exciting, nerve-wracking time for Browns fans. This season could be a defining one. Will the Browns finally get over the hump and become a true Super Bowl contender? Or will the weight of the past and the high stakes prove too much? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, Cleveland is ready to fight, ready to compete, and ready to write a new chapter in their storied history. The passion runs deep, and the hope is alive. This team has the talent, the drive, and the fan support to make it happen. So buckle up, Browns fans, because this season promises to be one of the most thrilling rides in recent memory. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Cleveland Browns news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe this is the year the Browns finally break through and become serious contenders? Or do you think the challenges ahead might be too much to overcome? Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cleveland Browns. Don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, training camp news, injury reports, player interviews, and all the latest buzz. Stay tuned, Browns fans, because this season is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory. The passion, the stakes, and the potential are all swirling together, and we're here to bring you every bit of it. Thanks for being part of this journey. Let's go Browns!